Today we're at the National Gallery of Victoria, or the NGV as it's been branded these days. Originally it was further down the road in a more traditional style building. Parts of the new building I do love, but lots of the new building I think is kind of a little too wacky for me. But the people of Victoria were fortunate that they set it up as a major gallery before there were really many major galleries, but they were able to pick the eyes out of the artists' work of that era of the 1840s, 50s, 60s, and then with the explosion of the Heidelberg School in the 1880s. Even though they were ridiculed for doing unfinished work, especially with the 9x5 exhibition, which I believe was about 1884, but even some of those small paintings, 9x5 inches, they would sell for about $150,000. So that's how influential the new movement was of Impressionism in the early 1880s. So I thought we'll take a look at some of my favourites. So we'll start off with Emanuel Phillips Fox. His wife was a painter as well. And this was a fairly sort of subdued light, but he was such a master with the figure and his brushwork and lighting. And I think this one is really a study in grey. So it's a real excellent piece for that. Then we go on to a Frederick McCubbin, really the mentor to a lot of the younger artists. Tom Roberts was also in that mentor role. They met Streeton down on the beach, not far from here actually, probably only sort of 8 to 10 miles away, sort of 12 to 15 kilometres, painting on the beach. And they introduced him to Charles Condor, and they formed the basis for the Heidelberg School, or the Australian Impressionist painting school. They only painted together for a couple of summers, and Streeton painted Golden Summer. Then he went up north to Sydney and the inland. And unfortunately, Purple Noon's Transparent Might, probably Streeton and Australia's great landscape masterpiece, wasn't on display today, but well worth coming and having a look. It's rarely not on display. A true masterpiece, I feel. So we've got the Tom Roberts. He was coming through France. He met Ramon Casas, who did a small little portrait of Roberts, but this was that classic Spanish doorway entrance, almost sort of Moroccan inspired doorway, I feel, but just a great painting. Would have been painted on the spot, plein air, and he brought that message home on that travel in 1882. Said, we've got to get out of the studio. That's okay to do the bigger paintings from your studies if need be. Then we have a lovely Bernard Hall, who was probably a little younger artist than the Heidelberg School, but it's a lovely lyrical piece that really was more Art Nouveau inspired. Sidney Long, he was one of the other artists who really grasped that style of Art Nouveau. But back into the traditional sort of stage is George Lambert, a little self-portrait. He was more known for his horses and his really big sort of war pieces as well, but a great portrait painter as well, of high regard for that era as well. And this is a lovely little, only small, and I think it's gone dark with age, the classic thing that would happen with the paints of this era. Then we move around a little further, and then we have a J.P. Russell, John Paul Russell. He was friends with Van Gogh. He did a magnificent portrait of Van Gogh, well worth having a look at. But I do love J.P. Russell's, not so much his southern French period, but this one was just a lovely floral piece with the portrait, side-on profile, just a really lovely study of colour, light, infusing it with the figure as well. And then we've got the Arthur Streeton, the person that I've probably been raving on about most of my career and life. I first saw his work as about a 21, 22-year-old in my home gallery in Queensland. It was actually a Sydney Harbour scene, where this is another Sydney Harbour scene, but this is in the vertical format, inspired by the Japanese art. Charles Condor, the fellow artist of the Heidelberg School, who was about Streeton's age, he was really inspired by the lithographs and the Japanese art in that vertical format and getting that lyrical movement going through. And it was said that if it wasn't for the meeting with Charles Condor, Streeton's work possibly would have never reached the heights that it actually did. mainly because Streeton actually compositionally was a little stiff. And with this one where the rocks in the midsection, I'd say, you know what, he didn't have to have that little jagged bit, but his light, his energy that he would get with his brushwork as well was almost second to none. You could almost stand in the centre of a room where most of the great artists of the world and put one Streeton there and it would stand out almost beyond all of them. And I think it was just the light, the brushwork, the contrast. And I think that's why I probably gravitated to Streeton's work. It really did grab me, almost that much so that when I saw the little Sydney Harbour scene, the little one of Cremorne Point, I got goosebumps, and it was almost like the hair stood up on the back of my neck. And I thought, you know what, when you're a young painter and you're looking for some sort of direction or guidance, even though I felt for me it was more in the years and decades that it had to really fully formulate my approach, my brush mark, away from all my heroes and mentors. But it was really Streeton. I think that was kind of my birthplace. And I think when I'm wanting to just check how I'm going, I'll go back and have a look at some of the Streetons just to see how I'm faring, because he really did have the genius of youth. He did become a little more formulaic in his mid-period, but he did have a really marvellous war period as well. And there's the War Memorial in Canberra, which is well worth having a look at, for Harold Herbert's watercolours as well. And Harold Herbert was a Victorian painter, but most of his paintings are back in the collection, in the storage at the moment. So then when we come on to the final piece, we've got a Harold Septimus Powers. Normally he was really well known for his horses as well, in watercolour and oil. New Zealand born, but came over as quite a young artist and person, along with quite a few painters, Elias Gruner as well. And this is quite a rare one. I can't remember the name of the quite bright parrot in the foreground, the species, but there's cockatoos, or galahs, I should say, but still so well painted. He was such a great technician. And if you study his figurative and his portraits and also his horses, you'll really see him stand with the great painters, Alfred Munnings, John Alfred Barnsby Brown, the great horse painters of Russia and in America. These guys were really right up there, and the current painters really stand on the shoulders of these great painters. And well worth even going to my Pinterest page where I've got Master Australian Artists, and you'll see over 600 now. And I will try and put a few new ones on all the time. So that's something that I've tried to find the biggest volume of art, but at the highest resolution as well. So it's been a wonderful visit. You can hear the Australian birds chirping away in the background. That's a little bit of Australia as well. So hope you enjoyed it. All the best. Bye for now.